welcome back and welcome to a new week. We've got a new topic that we're going to be talking about this week. It's stewardship in the light of eternity. And you may have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm going to guess that you have no idea what I'm talking about. So today, let me kind of set the stage for you. Now, I want you to imagine that you have a time machine and you could take it back 10 years. So 2014, this is 2024. You could take it back 10 years and you could tell yourself, let's say 5 words that could have the greatest impact on your life at this point. If you would really listen to yourself, say those 5 words. So you may be 14 years old and listening to this and you're like, at 4 years old, I don't know what I would remember. Anyway, let's assume that whatever you're told 10 years ago, you have the ability to act on it. So, if you're 20, you'd be 10 years old. If you're 25, you'd be 15. You know how to do math. You can figure this out. But anyway, what would be the greatest possible thing that you could tell yourself 10 years ago that would affect your life today? So some things that I could imagine you telling yourself, buy NVIDIA stock. That NVIDIA is a leading graphics processing unit. They make chips, graphic processing for AI. And if you would have bought their stock in 2014, between 2014 and now, it's experienced an 8,000% growth during that time. There's a few others that maybe you would have picked. If you would have said buy Tesla stock or buy Apple stock, Tesla went up 7,500% during that time, and Apple went up 1,200%. So those would have been really, really big ones that maybe 4-year-old you would have been like, oh yeah, I got to do this. Bitcoin. If you would have told yourself 10 years ago, buy Bitcoin. Now, I remember somebody telling me, you really ought to buy Bitcoin 10 years ago. And I was like, Bitcoin is stupid. It was $170 10 years ago. And I thought, this is like fake money. Why would somebody buy fake money? Well, 10 years ago, Bitcoin was $170. And at some time in the past year or two, Bitcoin hit $68,000 per coin. So if you'd have been able to buy one coin for $170 10 years ago, you'd had $68,000. Now, if you were to be able to go back like 20 years ago and buy Bitcoin, you'd have if you had $1,000 to spend 20 years ago on Bitcoin, you'd have $850 million in today's money. That's crazy how much it's gone up. Maybe you would have told yourself something different. I think if I'd have gone back 10 years, I might tell myself, don't run on November 17th because I think it was November 17th. A few years ago, or don't exercise on November 17th because a few years ago on November 17th, I was lifting weights and I injured myself and it really screwed up my back and it still hurts today. So if I just avoided ever exercising on that day, maybe my life would be better. I don't know. But I was thinking about this. Now imagine instead of a time machine that could take you back 10 years, imagine you were in eternity. So you've died, you've gone on, you're with Jesus, but you could come back and tell yourself just 5 words that would have the most dramatic impact on your life. I was imagining what would those 5 words be? And I was thinking, you know what? A really powerful 5-word statement might be Matthew 19:29 is true. I think that's 5 words. Matthew 19:29 is true. So then I would open my Bible and I would read Matthew 19:29, which would also make me read the verses around it. So let me start in verse 27 and read. In Matthew 19:27 through 29, Peter said to Jesus, "See, we've left everything to follow you. What then will we have?" And Jesus tells them, "Truly I say, in the new world, when the Son of Man will sit on his glorious throne, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones, judging 12 tribes of Israel." And then this is verse 29. "And everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or father or mother or children or lands for my name's sake will receive 100-fold and will inherit eternal life." Okay, so Jesus tells us that in the new world, there's a new heavens and new earth coming, that we are going to be alive and have a physical glorified body in. It's going to last for eternity. We're not just going to go be in heaven. It's a new heavens and new earth. That in that, anybody in this life that has sacrificed for Jesus. You know, sacrifice having to leave relationships, sacrifice property or lands. All of these things, Jesus says, you'll receive 100-fold in the time to come. So 100-fold is not 100% return on investment. 100-fold is 1,000% return on investment. Actually, it might be like a 9,900. I don't know. It's hard to figure out. The numbers are astronomical. The numbers are astronomical. So as you think of stewardship, we're going to explore that this week. But what I want you to just begin to think of is if you could go back in time and buy some Bitcoin 10 years ago, or if you could go back in time and buy Tesla stock or Nvidia stock 10 years ago, you know you would be potentially a multimillionaire today. But Jesus is saying, if you will take the stuff that you have now, resources that God's giving you, and you'll be a good steward of them. So you're willing to give back to God in time. You're willing to sacrifice possessions that you have. You're willing to sacrifice even potentially relationships for the sake of the Lord. Then you are actually going to live with Jesus in a new heavens and new earth for eternity and receive 100-fold of what you've given now. So this is even better than, like, you know, there are prosperity gospel preachers that will say, well, if you just give 10%, God's going to give you 10 times back. So, you know, you give your $100, he's going to give you $1,000 in the mail. And I don't know that you're going to see it on this earth. I really don't. Like, you may give and give and give. And in my experience, God has been super generous to me. But maybe you never see it in this lifetime and on this earth. But when you remember that you are built for eternity, for a real, physical, glorified body in a real, reconstituted new heavens and new earth, then anything you give and give up for the sake of Jesus in this earth is going to be rewarded 100-fold in the world to come. Now we're starting to understand why stewardship in the light of eternity is important. So we're going to talk about that this week, what all it means, how our mind should think about it. But I just want you to start thinking about that. The greatest investments that you can make are the things that you can do for the Lord now that will affect your eternity forever. So I'm excited to explore that topic with you this week.